Hi, I'm William Malik with your bit of security for Friday, the 6th of December. Today, we're going to talk about a wonderful event that I participated in earlier this week in New York City. It was hosted by a company called Cytactic, and the keynote speaker was Tim Brown. Tim is the CISO of SolarWinds, and it was December of 2020 when they discovered that they had been the victim of an attack by the Russian SVR, which became known as the supply chain attack. Their Orion software was corrupted, and they ended up distributing malicious code to a number of their customers. The interesting thing about this, I've heard CISOs talk about how they face challenges, but in Tim's recitation of what he learned, when he learned it, how the information got to him, and how he put it together, he brought together the elements of what I'm going to call a business architecture for cybersecurity more clearly than any other CISO that I've worked with in the past. He described the set of inputs and the quality of them, which ones you could trust, which ones needed further investigation. He described the process by which that information was evaluated and then slotted into its right position to create an effective picture of what it was that was going on. And that picture changed as the quality of the information was either enhanced or found to be wanting. In addition to that, he was mindful all the way through about the consequences of using that information. Now we know what it is, what steps do we take, but more importantly, what's the impact to the rest of the business? Who are the constituencies that care about the impact of the cyber attack? We have, of course, the customers. We have constituencies within the organization, the board of directors. What do they know? The CEO, financial organizations that are involved with various customers, the media. How do they find out? How do you manage that narrative? Now, some well-meaning individuals within the organization seeking to minimize legal risk counseled that they don't share much information. The problem with that is, while in a local sense it does, perhaps preserve some of the, protections, the downside is that it leaves the rest of the community at large with a greater degree of uncertainty. And uncertainty gives rise to rumor and speculation, which could end up harming the organization in the long term. So Tim guided the company on a path towards greater disclosure, more openness, and the result was, well, first of all, their renewal rate is in the mid 90% range. There were no individual lawsuits against the company. There's a class action lawsuit which is making its way through the courts. The SEC did come after SolarWinds and him personally, and all of those charges, except for things that occurred prior to the discovery of the breach, have been dismissed. To me, he is a heroic individual in that regard. The point is that the model, the behavior that he enabled, embodied what an effective business process has to do. You have your inputs, you have how you use them, you have all the outputs, where they go, who depends on them, what the nature of the care is, and most importantly, if you've done business process work, you have an audit capability. You have forensically durable logs of what steps were taken and how those can be used to improve the process in the future. So, crucial success. The point is that you don't want to get into a situation where you're in a crisis and you ask people to do new things, because in the midst of a problem, nobody's in let's learn a new thing mode. When we're in the midst of a problem, we tend to fall back on the things that we are most comfortable doing. And so you want to make the handling of an incident and the recovery after the incident to be aimed at restoring normal operations. You want to minimize the likelihood of error. You want to cut down the opportunities for people who are already in the midst of a crisis to have to make new and exciting decisions about topics they've probably never thought about before. A good friend of mine years ago used to repeat the mantra, prior planning prevents poor performance. And a way that means a lot to me, when I studied judo years ago, one of the first things that you learn is how to fall, because you learn how to fall forward and how you dissipate the energy, how to fall to your side, how to fall to the back. And after you've done that, you're familiar with it. You know what it's going to feel like. You know what to do to protect yourself. The worst time to figure out how to fall is when you're on the way down and it's the first time you've been there. So you don't want to do that. You want to be familiar. You want to have a drill. You want to have a procedure. You want to document it and document it so clearly that the people who come after you can make sense out of it and improve it. And that's our bit of security for December 6th. I'm William Malik. Be safe out there.